Hey guys, welcome back to Dislyte. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Shadowgale and a more obtainable team. The problem with Shadowgale and also the Flow Dragon is that all the best units for them and the units that almost seem necessary for them are either legendary units or 4-star shimmers. So it makes it really tough. So I've got actually like 4 of the best units for this boss, but I went ahead and decided to make myself a more free-to-play friendly team. Now there's the 3 luxury units in this team, and if you have one of the better units for this boss, you can actually probably get away with missing out on like the Sander, the Chloe, and the Siren. Siren's pretty important for this one, but yeah, the others are pretty important too. Sander for the speed lead and Chloe for the damage. But like I said, you're not going to do a fully farmable team for these bosses. They're just too hard. I think Shadowfire, I will get a fully farmable team going on my free-to-play account. I'm just not there yet, but you know, this is good enough for me at the moment. Gets the job done, and you know, we can get there. So I probably will. I'll actually probably just leave this team for farming because it's actually quite reliable. So I'll talk about the team. I'll talk about the strategy. I'll talk about the relics. I'll show you guys the relics. You do need really good relics for these. Shadowfire is the most important one in my opinion. The game is turning like all the modes like and stuff they're releasing. Speed is king, and so being able to farm Chronos and Shadowfire to upgrade the speed on your Windwalker relics just seems to be the way to go for progressing throughout the game. But yeah, you know, I'll go through it, but you know, this one's not as important as Shadowfire, and like I said, I'll work on that one. But the general gist of this one is on the boss's 3rd attack, he's going to apply that debuff that you can see on your units. The only way to remove that debuff is to either cleanse or buff. Now, if you have an ability that says like, you know, removes all debuffs from allies or whatever, it's only going to remove 1 tick of this debuff. And that may have looked close, but this is pretty much what the team does. Fabrice is the only one alive at the end. But yeah, so the way it works is if you already have the buff active as well, then it won't count when you try and reapply the buff. It has to be a new buff. So for that, you want all of your units really quick because obviously you want to get turns to use your buffs as much as you can. On top of that, you want everything fast so that they can get rid of the buffs. And that's where Chloe's kind of funky for this one because she has the ability that extends buffs, which isn't optimal, but she still works fine for it. She's just massive fire damage against the wind unit. So that is the way she works. Now, in my team, I've got Dahlia. Dahlia, obviously, we got turn gauge manipulation, which is going to get us more turns, which is vital. Also, she applies attack buff and crit buff. And you'll notice the units that I have in this team, none of them apply the same buffs because I found in testing that, and if I'm wrong, correct me if there's something I've missed, but I'm pretty sure if you try and apply the same buff, it doesn't work. For instance, I was trying to use Yeshua and Gabrielle for a farmable team, and if I already had my defense buff up, I was only getting 1 reduction. So stacking the same buff wasn't really working for me. But you know, then I moved to characters with different buffs and it worked really well. Now, next up, we do have the what's her name? Bernice. Bernice is really good for this. She has the recovery and the shield, which are 2 buffs, which is really nice. Also, she's just my sustain for the team. She's my healer for the team. Then we have Chloe. Chloe's there. Massive, massive, massive damage. I'll show you my Chloe speed. Chloe's speed is really important in this composition. If you have better units, it's not as important, but a super fast Chloe is important for me in this one so that she can use her skill 3 twice on the boss during the break phase. That's really important. Next up, we have Sander. Sander for damage, but also the speed leader skill. Speed is king, like I said, so Sander is very important for that one. Moving past that, we have Fabrice. Fabrice is here because he actually has the immunity buff to everyone, plus 1 unit is going to get invincibility, so that's really nice. So he's got those, plus he also has the instant gauge fill for an ally, which is nice. Could get someone to use their ultimate again, you know, and then be able to buff more and stuff like that. Fabrice just works really well for it. Also, his basic attack applies a regeneration to the ally with the lowest health. However, if Bernice's regeneration is up, it doesn't count for removing the debuff. Next up, past that, we have Siren. Siren's probably the most important one in this. She's got a 3-turn cooldown ability that applies defense up and speed up, and also cleanses debuffs. So you get 3 taken off of that debuff with that ability, plus it's got the speed up, which is really important because with that speed up, you're actually going to get around to using your turns a lot faster. So that's really important in my mind. So this one, we obviously, I think, must have missed a few crits with the Chloe. So as you can see, our damage is a bit lower. So because we didn't get as high a damage, we might actually fail this run or get a double S on this run. We could still get it. Depends if Sander actually dies here. That is going to be the big clutch moment. If Sander dies, we won't get it. If Sander survives, ooh, we got the defense buff, so he might survive. No, he dropped. So gotta go do some enhancements on those Sanders secondary stats to try and get him more tanky. But like I said, that is pretty much the team. Got a bit unlucky. My Chloe, to get her as fast as she is, I had to drop a little bit of her crit rate. So she's not reliable on the crits all the time. But, you know, that was 38. I haven't done many tests with this one. I did have a team working where I was using Freya, and then I max skilled her to make it better, and it killed my RNG, like the turn order. So that happened. But, you know, all in all, it's a pretty decent team to get you started that doesn't require any 5 stars or 4-star shimmers. I tried my hardest. I spent about 8 hours on this thing trying to get like a farmable team. I just don't think it's going to be doable. So let's show you guys the relics, and then I'll talk about some replacement units for it, and then we'll come back and see what we got. So as we go over here into the relics, first one being Chloe. Like I said, plus 112 speed. I wanted her super fast so that she could get her ultimate in twice on the boss. That is what I was going for with this one. 65% crit rate, you know, it's respectable. You know, you'd love to be at the 100. It does bump her up to 100 with the crit buff from Dahlia, but it's not active on every ult that she uses, and that is the issue where we sometimes miss out on that little bit of damage from that, and that can cost us getting to the 4 million damage. The other thing I could do is maybe once I even level up Sander, you know, that could help me out as well, because it would give me some extra damage, also give him some extra survivability. So once he hits level 60, maybe that could be the difference. But my Sander is the next unit. You can see he's on 97. Normally you would think, you know, why not have Sander as the faster unit, because he can deal more damage based on speed. It is purely to get Chloe to get 2 ults on the boss's break phase. That is the reason. He's also on crit damage, attack, speed. And, you know, I've upgraded these. Like I said, Shadowfire is the best one. You want to upgrade some of those stats on your Windwalker ones, because, you know, they're going to be the key for most of the game. They've just turned the game into a real speed test from what I've seen. Next up, we have Siren. Now, with her, I could make her much faster, but this was the speed tuning I had to do. Like, I didn't even care about the main stats here. I was just looking for speed values. You can see we've got flat attack and resistance here. These were old relics that I was trying to get them to plus 16 speed. They didn't work. But with this, you know, like, I didn't care about the stats, like literally didn't care. I just wanted her at the right speed level, and I've actually taken speed off. I could get her a lot faster, but she was using her buff before just before the boss used his debuff, and that was no good. So I had to slow her down for that purpose. But that's where she is at. Moving on from that, we have Dahlia. Once again, Dahlia I could have made much faster, but speed tuning so that she wasn't moving before the boss. So you'll see that we're in the run, when the boss uses his debuff, straight after that, we go into her buff, and then also Siren's buff. Now, the only unit that's not completely speed tuned to use their buff straight after the boss is Bernice, but, you know, it still kind of works. I could get really finicky and try and get that working. Maybe I could get 5 leaves on the Clover to, you know, whatever that thing is, to get extra multipliers, but I'd spent way too long on these, so I gave up on that idea. So the next one is going to be that Bernice. Also, sorry for my voice, I've been sick, so it sucks. She's on my fastest set. She got 16 speed there, 19 speed there, 12 speed there, 19 speed there, 19 speed, and 19 speed. So not even worried about the HP or anything. It was literally all about speed tuning. Stats, I don't care. Speed tuning. If my stats were an issue, I could have 6-starred someone to get the stats up there, but this was all about speed. I just put her super fast. I don't know why, just in testing, it worked when I put her super fast. So this is one of those things you're going to have to do a lot of testing on if you don't have the godly units for this. And then we have Fabrice. Fabrice, decently fast. Once again, I didn't care about the stats, but he ended up on double HP. And, you know, this speed range was just where he worked. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So like I said, you do need a lot of speed. So farming Chronos, farming Shadowfire are going to be the 2 priorities to be able to move into the rest of this content. And especially when you look at the the next one, which is the Flow Dragon, where you just got to take more turns. So speed is everything again. As for other units, I want to go through other units that you can use. There are a few that are just completely broken. So if we go here to the gallery, I think the best unit in the game for this, and I do have her, is Catherine. Now, when I use Catherine and Queen Mother, this stuff is so easy. Like, they just cheese it. So Catherine, because at the start of every turn, she's gonna dispel a debuff from allies, and then each debuff increases AP by 5%. I didn't actually look too closely because it's not actually getting rid of the buff completely. I don't know if you get the AP up, but you know, you're still removing debuff. So every time she gets a turn, she reduces a stack of the boss's debuff. And then this ability, if max skilled, is at a 3-turn cooldown. Mine isn't maxed, but at a 3-turn cooldown, she can cycle through this twice on the boss. So if you have her, you just make her super fast, get her all the turns, you're pretty much GG from there. The other one that is very similar, but not as good, is Queen Mother, which is another one that I do have. Same passive. She got a bit more into it. So she's gonna dispel. There it is. I couldn't find it. Dispel 1 debuff from each ally unit at the start of her turn. So that's the main thing you're looking at. You're getting the dispel of a debuff, and then she has this one, which is going to transfer all allied debuffs to the enemy. Now, I believe in my testing, this actually removes 1, also just the 1, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown, so it's on a larger cooldown than what Catherine's is. So I actually think Catherine is better because Catherine is going to be reducing more ticks over time. So those two, absolutely broken for it, absolutely amazing. Next up, I didn't test her because my Sally's still like level 5 or something, but I think Sally's going to be really good. You've got an attack buff with a cleanse, so, you know, that's going to be 1 tick off for the attack buff, 1 tick off for the cleanse. And then she has this ability, which is every time someone takes a turn while she's in this state, they're going to have a cleanse. So, you know, I think that's going to be really strong. I didn't test to see if this works because, like I said, I just have no interest in leveling up my Sally at the moment. But, you know, I think she's going to be great. If you have her, test her out. Next up, we have Unis. Unis is going to be fantastic. The passive that applies immunity, that's getting him buffs. Plus, he has his own speed buff, which is just going to make him incredibly fast. And he's got the turn gauge buff on a 3-turn cooldown. So he's going to give you a lot of turns, do a lot of increasing. Yeah, he's just... Unis is broken. Next up, we have another broken unit, which is Clara. Clara's just god tier for every bit of content in the game because of the way her kit's made up. So if you have her, use her. She's got your healing, she's got AP manipulation, and then she also has the immunity, which is a buff, which is going to remove a tick. So, you know, she's really good. Plus, she also has the ability with this one that you are going to dispel 2 debuffs from targets. So you're going to dispel debuffs, which is going to remove ticks. You're going to apply immunity, which is going to remove ticks, and then you've also got, you know, she can be your sustain, but also your AP manipulation, which is nice. Past Clara, we have Asenath, who's amazing. Now, the thing with the boss is, during the phase when he applies the debuff and you're trying to remove as many as possible, he's going to do 1 attack in between that is going to attack the front row. So if you're using Asenath, my recommendation, I haven't tested it, would be to put her in the front row, because when she uses this ability, it's going to be a buff, which is going to remove ticks. But the thing with this one is that it's when allies are hit, it's going to increase her AP. So if you have more allies in the front row, she's going to get more AP. Now, it might be that the RNG and the way the turn orders go, you might only want 3 units in the front row. Play around with it. If you have Asenath, play around with how many units you have in the front row, but she's going to have AP increasing for the whole team. Obviously a buff, which is going to reduce the stack of the boss's debuff, and then she's got AP up for herself when allies get hit, which is fantastic. On top of that, she's got the sustain for the team, and she also has a recovery buff on a 3-turn cooldown, which is really nice. So she's going to be an absolute savage for that phase of the battle. Moving past that, we have Freya. I did have this team working with Freya instead of Fabrice. I then stupidly max skilled my Freya, which reduced this cooldown. It killed the turn order and it broke it, so I couldn't use her anymore. Frustrated me. The other thing with Freya, triggers me massive. She's got this ability which resets the cooldown of this ability. Now they're both 3-turn cooldowns. Please, Freya, can we change her AI so that she uses this ability first, then this ability to reset it, then she uses this ability again, then she can use a basic attack into this one, then this one. And like, it frustrates me to no end. She prioritizes this ability. Triggers me hard. Anyway, that is me. triggered. So that is Freya. She can be used. Chang'e, one that I'm not sure on. I didn't test her. I haven't leveled mine, so I'm not too sure. Just an idea of something that you can try. You know, she's got the recovery effect. I don't know. It's got a dispel and a recovery. I don't like single target buffs for this. She does have an AoE cleanse. She can be the sustained, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown. So she's one maybe try if you have nothing, but I'm not a massive fan of. The other two that I would recommend testing if you have them is going to be Nicole, because this ability has 3 buffs, which is really nice. And this one is going to have buffs as well. The only thing with this one is it's on a 5-turn cooldown. So at most you're going to get 1 use. So I don't know. I don't know if she's going to be great for it just because of the long cooldown. You're never going to get her to use this twice during the phase of removing. So I don't know. I really don't know, but might be one to test if you have her. Now, Laura is an interesting one that I would love to test because her passive, every time an ally takes a turn, they get a shield. I'm assuming that would be just every time an ally has a turn, they're getting a reduction because they're getting a shield. So if that works like that, it's fantastic. Plus she has this ability, which is going to apply the crit resist as well, which is going to get a reduction. So I think she could be good. The one thing is, because I think that if you already have a buff, then applying the same buff doesn't work. So if she uses this ability, they've already got the shield and they got it for 2 turns, which sort of negates this. I'm not too sure. I'd have to test her and see how it works with removing stacks of the debuff, but I think she could be really cool if you have her. Past that, there's nothing in the 3 stars that's really going to get you across the line in this. The 3 stars aren't really handy. We've got no 3-star cleanser. The only one is, I think, Layla that has a cleanse. Transfers 1 debuff, but you know, it's nothing else in this kit to help. So that's about it. So that is the team. That's what I'm using. Like I said, if you have some of those better units, if you have Catherine, you have Queen Mother, this stuff is going to be a lot easier for you to get through, and then you can mix around. But you know, 3 luxury units in Sander, Chloe, and Siren get me across the line there. Let's go ahead and stop. Let's just exit out and see what we see if we got a triple S in that run, which we should have. Thanks for the beat. I hate when you quit these. So as you can see, we did get a triple S in there. You know, I'm going to tune this team up. I could just use Catherine and Queen Mother. I kind of want to get this one to like, you know, a 90% success rate on the old... oh wait, that's because... So we would have had an SS, a triple S, and a B from the 3 runs. But, you know, that's where we're at. Catherine, Queen Mother, OP for this. Hopefully you have them. Catherine especially broken. But... there's a team that hopefully you can get along. If you don't have the units, if you don't have any of these units that I mentioned to get across the line for this, just don't worry about this one. Just work on Shadowfire. That's the most important one in my opinion. Farming Chronos, farming Shadowfire, then you'll just get faster and faster and faster, and then you can sort of outspeed, get more turns, and away you go. And then hopefully in that time, you can summon, get some of these units. I mean, for me, on this account, there's still some key 4-star units that I'm missing, so I understand that people do get shafted and they just don't have it. They don't have the luck. So for instance, like normal faction, I don't have a Lu Yi yet. I want a Lu Yi. I don't have a Renzi. I don't have a Long Mane. Like, those are like 3 of the best normal element 4 stars, and I still don't have them. I just cannot get those guys. So I get it. There's pain out there. But if you can't do this boss, don't stress. It's not the most important thing in the world. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.